Over the past week, the weather's been diabolical. I've had lots of other things to do. Caught a cold, about the nearest thing to catching a fish that I've had, and not really been able to get out. However, finally feeling a bit better, a nice sunny morning, and able to use what was left of the bait from about 10 days ago. So a mixture of maggots and casters. The maggots are definitely past their best. I was able to get out for a couple of hours fishing on a local pond, and to keep things simple, set up a pole at around about 8 metres. Very simple rig, 3/4 of a gram rig that I already had set up. It needed a bit of playing around with. Size 22 barbless, and I was away. I picked a nice comfortable swim, and the rig had got a bit trashed towards the where the loop was for the hook length. I'd broken off the line, made a very crude loop, so I made a new loop for it, put on the hook length, and as a dropper shot I put a number 10, which was a bit big, and the float was absolutely dotted, and I thought, well, it's a little bit too dotted, so I played around a little bit more, put a number 11 shot instead of the 10. One of the beauties of lead shot, these very small lead shot, took off that 10, and now I had probably less than 2 millimeters showing of a tip that's less than a millimeter thick. So fine pole float tip, almost dotted down. Fishing with a single maggot, I did try casters, and it became apparent that the fish, we'd had a lot of rain, that the pond had come up maybe 6 or 8 inches. It was running off, it was running in next to me very strongly, but running out at the same speed. The outflow does tend to get blocked up with leaves, but it seems to be running fairly clear at the moment. And although it wasn't particularly cold, that fresh water had made the fish quite shy. I could see there were fish topping all over, out further, sort of 15, 20, 30 yards out, and they're probably some roach, probably a few rudd. Didn't see anything much bigger. A few other people fishing away, nothing much happening a lot really. But what astounded me, and I think it's something I mustn't forget, and I'm going to emphasize really strongly here, was that the bites were tiny little bites, even with a couple of millimeters of a pole float showing at, like I say, about 8 meters. It wasn't always going completely under. Tiny little lifts, tiny little dipping a little bit, still not going under, and yet these roach, which is what they were, had taken the bait. They weren't very big. I did accidentally hook one close in that was under 2 inches long, but mostly they ran from about 4 inches up to, which is under half an ounce if you like, up to about 5 ounces, 5 or 6 ounces, which is okay. I didn't have a lot of time. I did pick up a skimmer, again about 5 ounces or so, and eventually a nice little perch, maybe 7 or 8 ounces. After I'd been fishing an hour and a half, those rudd that were further out started to find some of the floating casters that were drifting out, and the rudd came in, and the bites were completely different. Now half the pole float was sat out of the water, it was towing around, but the roach bites, they were definitely shy, and it makes you wonder, because the roach weren't marking the bait whatsoever. It makes you wonder that if you're fishing, say with a waggler in those circumstances, how many bites you're not seeing at all. You're not, they wouldn't pull a waggler under. These were just barely moving the pole float. Now another day, different conditions, the bites might be nice and definite, you catch on a waggler. But that day, that couple of hours, this was key to catching fish. Funnily enough, I could see someone's waggler stuck out about 80 yards away, so you can imagine how thick that float was if I can see their float that far, and it didn't seem to be going under at all, so perhaps they were getting bites but not seeing any of them at all. That's it for this very short fill-in video. Hopefully I can get out on the riverbank to do some proper filming soon. As I speak, the rivers are flooded, lots and lots of rain and gales on its way over the next few days, but things can only improve eventually. Until next time, it's goodbye for now.